Hi there, traders. This is Brad Goodwin with today's trading action. All right, now the dollar drifting lower, right? We've got the slightly weaker US CPI numbers, which gave the dollar a bit of weakness. Then there's this Middle East buildup of some new conflict, right? Iran sort of going a little bit mad. So we've got a risk on profile. Safe havens are in play, as is the oil trade. Now, let me just give you a rundown of the markets on Metastock. So, the news services are sort of lighting up. They love a conflict, right? Allows them to sort of post lots of fear and all that sort of stuff going on. The US yield prices are slightly up, so that means the yield's slightly down. You've got a risk sort of off profile there on the equity markets, right? The US equity markets aren't playing the game at the moment, but we sort of have a risk on profile as far as the currencies go. Euro, sterling, Aussie, Kiwi up, and the dollar down sort of pretty much across the board. The big note here, obviously, with the Middle East, as soon as you sort of mention that, the safe haven trades are sort of back on, right? It's pretty exhausting trying to keep up with that, but there are opportunities here. You just need to wait for the actual timing, right? So, you know, if I come into this, I've just been going through the strategy fit matrix. I've got like a stable, compliant profile, right? Which means I like to follow a plan and everything has to sort of line up. Now, what doesn't line up? We're seeing the moves, right? It's based off this so-called, Middle East situation, which hasn't really kicked off yet. And you've got dollar Swiss trying to do its best to break down. The beast, dollar yen, doing the same. Euro, it's like they're stuck to these levels a little bit, right? Now, today, UK, we've got some economic numbers coming out, may give this thing a bit of a push, right? But now, what's happening at the moment, just for me, is they're massively overdone. The euro and sterling are massively overbought. Dollar yen and dollar Swiss massively oversold. So you know what? I'm just going to sit back and wait for that to sort of turn around a little bit. And if anything, reassuringly, come back over to your daily charts, and you can sort of piece together where the opportunities are. Now I've got a bunch of trades set up here to get into these trends, but you know what? It just takes time to get the right sort of level of momentum and the right position of the currencies back closer towards, or in vicinity of a trend line. Then we've got a really good setup, right? So at the moment, markets are sort of showing some promise with some potential moves, dollar weakness across the board, but it's not enough to really get me into it because it doesn't fit my picture just at the moment. So coming into the economic numbers today, we've got some UK data out, right? The GDP estimates, this manufacturing output, right? That's, to me, was always a really big number compared to industrial output and all these other ones. So the GDP estimate, yeah, sure, check that out. But the manufacturing output is one that I would suggest if you are in the UK or Europe, North America, check it out, right? What we're looking for is a bit of a correction, right, with these numbers, maybe some stronger numbers to go with the current move. Now, we saw UK employment numbers really weak. So I'm thinking these numbers are going to be crap, right? Which is not going to be obviously ideal, and be aware of that because you know what? The current short-term trend on the dollar is up. With the Middle East in play, I suggest one thing, right? And sterling is in the firing line today. But you know what? Take the dollar out of the equation, right? It's like taking Donald Trump out of the trade, which is not a bad thing, right? Because we are getting, it's like one event after another. If it's not the tariffs, I know he hasn't sort of kicked things off in the Middle East, but he's like making a bit of a song and dance about it. Get our troops out, get our people out. It's going to be terrible over there. All this sort of stuff. So get sterling crosses up and euro crosses. Euro is outperforming as well. So if I just click on that, this is where you want to find some trades. And when you come back through and you're looking at your charts and trying to work out what's what, well, this is where you're going to find some really magic, right? I'm going to go through this. I'll be posting trades that fit the profile, fit the plan, right? That are either going up, going down, that are in the right situation if that exists. Now, usually we'd have our live trade signals, but they have popped up, right? Well, that's a miracle, right? So the guys must have sort of got into this. Excuse me, I'll just start again. Metastock icon is changing over to Metastock workspace. So there is a bit of a disconnection there. So we are sort of back in play. Now, as you can see here, bullish euro, sterling, but they are massively overbought at the moment, right? Dollar yen, dollar Swiss, right? Not at the right levels. So we've got things lining up, and this is what I like to see, like euro against the crosses. So check out your live trade signals, right? This is your watch list, right? These are the ones that are sort of there. They just aren't in the right trade zone. Now, it doesn't mean you can't trade them at the moment. What I would do is, if it doesn't fit your profile, have a separate trade plan that actually is a smaller trade size, maybe the same stop loss or a little bit bigger, that gets you into the trade so you can actually feel a part of it if you feel like you're missing out. Otherwise, right, let's wait for the levels to line up. And if anyone's in the Discord and you see a level lining up, well, that's the time to let the team sort of know, because that's where the trades are, right? So just going through this, right? If you look at the market analysis, of the market, you know, there's a lot of good things in here, but the top list, the watch list, there's a huge amount of stuff going on. And this is no surprise. When there is a conflict, you get all these things, right, shooting to the top side. Like euro is going up against basically everything, but it's massively overbought against everything. So you know what? If there's no fresh news, then this thing's going to turn around pretty quickly. Or, you know what? We just wait for the timing to fit our structure of our trade. All right, guys, that's pretty much it for me. So UK data today, just keep an eye on that as we go forward. Keep an eye on the live trade signals. As I said, to me, euro and sterling on the crosses is where the action's at. And you know what? Just go through the watch list here and you can find these things, right? If you need a hand and you're not sure of your analysis, come back and do a cross check. When the forecast is either bullish or bearish, it means both short-term and long-term charts are going up. That's a good thing. Now we just need the timing to fit the picture. All right, guys, that's it from me. Have a good trade day. I'll be sort of poking about. If I see something, I'll post it on the Discord just to give you the heads up. All right, guys, have a good one. All the best. Cheerio.